I'm over you, over you, over you. I had my homie Johnson. Shout out to Johnson. We were repeating that shit, yo. Because we've been through some shit like that. What is good, HipHoppas? It is Esteban Xound here with another album review. Now, before we get into anything, as usual, remember to subscribe, comment, like, and share the video if you fuck with the videos. Let us know what you want to see next. And with that being said, this is the Eddy Clips ASAP album review. Going into the album, I'm a fan of Eddy Clips, starting all the way from the Scheming project back in August of 2017, featuring Cash Cooley and Profit. I think that was really the introduction for a lot of us with Eddy Clips that really put him on the map. Ever since then, Eddy's been putting out verses and doing collabs since the Scheming track, which has kept him on the Calgary radar since then. Then came my true introduction to Eddy Clips with the collab project with Profit, Unbelievable, which made it apparent to me that Eddy Clips was a serious artist who was here to make cohesive projects. Then came the singles that dropped from this project, On the Run and ASAP, which continued to solidify Eddy's ability to collab with other artists, create street and mainstream anthems, and write extremely strong hooks. Then I heard Big Range at 17's listening party, and that's the point where I was like, okay, I gotta listen to this album. I gotta see what this album's about. Eddy was handing out free copies of ASAP at the listening session. Me and my brother scooped one up, and now we're here. So going into the project, I was hoping to hear a good mix of street anthems with mainstream hip-hop songs in a project. And my first impressions, honestly, I was really satisfied with what I got. Not only because I got what I was expecting, but song-wise and feature-wise, this album exceeded my expectations. After a few listens, honestly, it became easier and easier to listen to, especially being that it's only 8 tracks long. I can put this on, not have to touch it, and then next thing you know, it's done. Very much like the Kanye albums that came out in 2018. Easily replayable for me. And I cannot say enough about the hooks on this album. Extremely well done. Easily repeatable, easily you can get behind them. Dope hooks on this album. I think Eddy has a knack for writing hooks, and that's a craft that he has perfected throughout the years. The one thing about this album that I have to point out is it has moments of greatness and it has moments of lacklusterness. And what I mean by that is mostly content wise. There's songs that sound really focused, and then there's songs that sound like they're just filling in space. My favorite tracks, the intro. Now I usually don't put intros as my favorite tracks, but this one was fucking hilarious, yo. The way this starts off, you get an idea of what the album's gonna be like. It's a house party, you're with the homies, and it reminds me very much of Doggy Style, especially on like the Gin and Juice skit before Gin and Juice. It just reminded me of that kind of shit. It gave me a nostalgic feel, and I know Eddy Clips is a fan of Tupac, so I'm sure that had some sort of influence. And honestly, it was a perfect lead into the next track, which was Pass Out. Now, I heard Eddy perform this track at the Ghostface performance. You can see a clip of it in the review I did. I'll put the link in the description. So when I heard this track, it didn't come as a surprise for me, but I think it was refreshing to hear it recorded because I think it sounds way better in a song than it did live. And the song is pretty self-explanatory with the hook. Eddy's being way too drunk at a house party and he's looking for a place to crash. It's relatable, it's a different perspective on a house party, and it's a super strong opener for the album. And this song it's a bright spot on the album because content-wise, it's focused. Eddy had an idea, he executed it from the beginning of the track to the end of the track. And this is when I'm really like, this is what I want to hear from Eddy Clips. Those are the bright spots on the album. Number 3, Cash and Checks. The hook is really what catches my ear. Not sure if it was, I think it was Breana Marin who did the hook on this. Super well done. The hook was melodic and the message is straightforward. And Eddy claims that he doesn't really care about the fame, he just wants the money. And he reiterates this point multiple times on the album. The verse, although, seems somewhat unfocused, I will say that. And the rap feature by Sham fucking killed it. He definitely matched the energy of the track. The beat is easily one of my favorites on the album. It had a bounce to it. Really enjoyed the beat on this track. Big range, all respects to Eddy Clips, but 17 fucking killed this track. 17 sounds hungry, he sounds focused, and he has total command over this track. Eddy goes about talking from taking care of his family to other rappers. And I just wish Eddy would have expanded more on the idea of getting a big range, maybe what it would have took to get a big range. Kind of like Aston Martin music with Rick Ross and Drake, but we didn't really get that on this track. Sonically, it's a street slapper, so that's why I made my favorites list. Over You, this is another bright spot on the album. Again, because conceptually, it's executed well from top to bottom. The content is focused, and again, the execution of the track is just really well done. And we get personal insight on Eddy's relationship. I think I found a new artist to look out for as well. Fucking Jackie Art, yo. Fucking Jackie Art killed this shit on this track, yo. Easily one of the, I'd say one of the best verses. And this is coming from a guy who's a rap fan. Jackie Art, the way he melodically delivered his verse, and he was on subject too. It was extremely creative. I wasn't expecting to hear that on this album, but I did. Fucking dope verse by Jackie Art. And the hook is something that any guy or girl who's broken up from a relationship can relate to. Yeah, I'm over you, over you, over you. I had my homie Johnson, shout out to Johnson. We were repeating that shit, yo, because we've been through some shit like that. And Eddy's pimp hand is stronger than ever on this track. He went in on the hose on Slow Down, and he goes in on the hose again on this track. Number 6, On the Run. Eddy Clips and Prophet return with the collaboration. Prophet's punchline, metaphor, and simile game is second to none. The line that he says about I'm mobbing deep, no Illuminati, that was clever as fuck. I like that track. And the hook is easily relatable to anybody who grew up in the Northeast, who isn't active in street life or was active in street life. And that's the thing about Eddy Clips. He just makes really relatable hooks that people can get behind. That's the one thing I'll say. Like, again, his knack for writing hooks. Eddy uses his go-to fast flow on his verse. And lyrically, it's some of Eddy's better work. But the verses don't really relate back to the hook, unfortunately. ASAP. Now, I did my review of this track. I'll put the link in the description. You can see my thoughts on this track. I already put it out. So, my least favorite tracks, Guarantee. This is the second chick track on the album. And honestly, conceptually and content-wise, it's just not as impactful or interesting as Over You. Eddy uses his go-to fast flow on the last verse to kind of save this track lyrically, but it just wasn't enough to save this track. Overall, I think this is a really solid project. From top to bottom, we get a mix of street content, mainstream chick tracks, and it does teeter on that line of redundant when it comes to the content matter. But I think Eddy's use of hooks and features coupled with consistent production makes this an interesting enough listen. If you're watching, honestly, I'd say just keep delivering dope street content. Keep working with the same producers that you worked with on this album. I think you and KCR are really starting to craft out a sound for you guys for that camp. Keep collabing with other artists like you did. I think your ability to collab with artists is second to none. So I gotta give you props for that. And I would love to hear you expand on your content matter. Maybe go a bit personal like we did on Over You. Maybe some tracks to hear about what made you the man that you are today. Some life-changing moments. Maybe just a degree of personal insight would be super dope to hear. If I was to give this a rating, I would give this a 7.5 out of 10. And is it HipHop certified? It is definitely certified. It gets the stamp. So with that being said, that's all I got to say on this one. Bias.